this is Felicia, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make my Newport blanket. This blanket could be made in various sizes, and the sizes I've included in my pattern. This uses the basic C2C or corner to corner basic stitch, and I'm going to show you today how to work that stitch as well as add color, increase, and decrease for your blanket. This is a very simple, beginner-friendly pattern, and so I really hope you enjoy this tutorial. Feel free to like and subscribe to this channel if you like to see more videos for the patterns that I create, as well as tips and tricks that I have learned along the way. So what we'll start with is our yarn. I'm using a 4-weight yarn, or weight 4 yarn, and an I-9 hook. We're going to start with a slip knot on our hook, and then we'll begin with chaining 6. Count to make sure. And what you will do is count back 4 chains. And you're going to make 1 double crochet in that 4th chain. Then you're going to make 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 chains. So now you have your first cluster. To make the next cluster, you're going to chain 6. Count back 4 chains. Make 1 double crochet in the 4th chain. And make 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 chains. Now you have 2 clusters. So what you're going to do to begin the corner length and height is flip up that corner or that cluster furthest from your hook. You're going to look for the chain space that we created. You're going to insert your hook into that chain space and slip stitch like so. Now you're going to chain 3. Now you're going to make 3 double crochets in that same chain space. Now you have your corner starting to form. There's your beginning. And now you have your width and your length. And to increase, now we're going to chain 6. Fourth chain back, make 1 double crochet. And 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 chains. Runaway yarn. Finish this off here, and then you're going to flip your clusters furthest from your hook and look for that chain space. When you found it, insert your hook, slip stitch, and chain 3. Make 3 double crochet in that chain space. And what you'll do is look for the next chain space, insert your hook, make a slip stitch, chain 3, and make 3 double crochet in that chain space. You're just going to turn your work. So now you see your clusters, your blanket starting to form, the corner there. And what you'll do is we're going to add another row with a new color. So let's get started there. What I meant to show you was to add a new color, you're going to leave 2 loops on the hook. Now you don't have to add a new color, but with this blanket sequence, if you want the nautical look, like I mentioned, you will add a new color according to the striping that I have in the pattern. And when you add the new color, you'll just continue on with the C2C Basic Stitch and the stripe sequence that I have in the pattern. So you will just take that new color with the 2 loops left on the hook from the previous double crochet. To finish off that double crochet, we need to pull through the yarn. So take your new color and pull right through both loops. And you can pull down on the previous color just to tighten that yarn. And then you're just going to chain 6. And then 4th chain from the hook, you're going to make 1 double crochet. And then 1 double crochet in each of the last 2 chains. And then you're going to turn your clusters furthest from your hook or your blanket if it's big enough. We're going to cut that yarn in just a moment. But what you'll do is look for that chain or that chain space, slip stitch, and chain 3. And make 3 double crochet in that chain space. Like so. Now we're going to cut that yarn. I tend to like to keep my previous yarn attached until I make 1 or 2 clusters with the new color, just to make sure it's all secure, and then I just cut that previous yarn. And you are going to have ends to weave in on a striping sequence like this one, but it's okay. It's part of the fun. So now what we're going to do is continue with finding those chain spaces across your row, slip stitching, chaining, and double crocheting in each of those. You chain 3 here, make 3 double crochet in that chain space. And with this blanket, this makes it an easy, once you get the stitching down, it is an easy project to work while you're watching a movie, because you can just kind of, you'll have the stitches memorized pretty quickly. We're on our last chain space here for this row. Make our last double crochet in this chain space. And you can see how our blanket has grown. And we're going to increase some more. So in my pattern, I have included a baby blanket size, a throw, as well as bedding sizes. So you can go full king, queen type sizes, and the measurements for each. And when you're making your chain 6 or even your 3 double crochets in the chain space, just always make sure you count, give a bit of a count. That way you don't miss a step. And turn the clusters furthest away from your hook over, and then you'll just start filling in your row. In my pattern, I actually gave an idea of color selections, or how I came to choosing my colors. It's just a little tiny brief idea, if you will. So if you're doing 3 colors, I try to have 2 neutrals and 1 bold color. And then if I have 4 colors, I try to even it out 50-50, 2 neutrals, 2 bolds. And however those bold colors might be, in my baby blanket, I had a lighter blue and a teal, or more teal blue, and then I had a white and gray. But you may choose differently. And then as you create your blanket, and it grows in size, you want to just keep your measuring or fabric measuring tape handy to measure the sides. That way you know when to start your decrease, and what side you want to decrease on. You may want to decrease on one side, start on one side first and let the other side grow, or you may want to decrease on both sides to make them even. And what you're doing with your C2C is, you notice it's a bit of a triangle that is starting to form. And so as you increase, your triangle is going to get larger. And then you can start to decrease, which we're getting close to now on this sample. So here we are at a point in this sample where I will start showing you how to decrease, but you can see that your triangle is starting to form. Your colors, you will continue this striping sequence as you increase, and then you will also continue the striping sequence as you decrease. You will want to block your smaller blankets. A large king size blanket may be pretty hard to block unless you have blocking mats that reach that size. Great. But you will get straighter edges as you block. I chose not to add a border to this blanket because after blocking, the blanket looked lovely. Just I enjoyed it more with that. On my king size blanket, I actually did add a border, and now that I look back, even though the border is nice, it's not something that I wanted. So now we're going to start our decrease, and this is going to determine, now you get to decide if you want your blanket more of a rectangle or more of a square. So you can increase on one side continually and decrease on the other, or you can decrease on both. So let's get started with the demo on that. Okay, so now we're going to start our decrease, and this is so that you can close off your blanket and have a full rectangle or square blanket. The one thing that you will eliminate in this stitch for decreasing is your chain 6. What you will end up doing is finding your chain space, slip stitching into that chain space, and chaining 3. And then you're going to make 3 double crochets in that same chain space. Sorry about the background noise, guys. So now you can see that a corner is starting to form, and that's the look you want. So now you will just finish up the row as you've been doing in your previous row, is slip stitch into that chain space, chain 3, and then make 3 double crochet in that chain space. Again, you'll slip stitch into that chain space, chain 3, and make 3 double crochet in that same chain space. And you will be repeating this process or these steps till not only till the end of your row, but to the end of your blanket. And you will start to notice that your blanket starts closing in. So form another triangle the opposite way. So from the widest part of your triangle to the point. And a square or rectangle will start to form based on your measurements. For the blanket I made in my pattern that I show, I made a 30-inch by 35-inch. So almost more square. But my king size blanket was a little bit more of a rectangle. And just remember again that it is your choice as far as colors and size of weight of yarn. You can use a chunky, you can even use smaller yarn. So I even have one blanket in process that is using a 2-weight yarn, more of a fingering size yarn. So that is an option as well. So now we're just turning our work. Again, you're just going to forego the chain 6 and just do the slip stitch, chain 3, 3 double crochet, into that chain space, and then you're going to move towards down the row and do the same pattern. You can see the corner forming on the other side. And one thing I learned with this stitch, or any other project, is once we know we're getting to the end, we start getting a bit more excited, which is great. You know, we're proud, we're happy, right? But just be careful and keep mindful of your counts. So making sure you have your chain 3 count, just double checking your 3 double crochet. Sometimes you may skip a stitch, just, you know, I've done it, not really paying attention, thinking I had it, and then later when I finish my blanket, I see it. So just keep your count. And then now you're getting close, you know, you'll see that it will make the making this blanket a little easier. So as you're getting closer, you'll notice the rounding. So what I want to show you is how to properly, when you get to the end, after a couple rows of your decrease, you'll start seeing that corner. You'll just slip stitch into that corner and turn your work. And then slip stitch again. So it will keep that straight edge going. So you won't chain 3 the first time, you'll chain 3 the second slip stitch as you're reaching a flat edge. And then you'll proceed with finishing your rows. So let's move on to the end of our blanket. So we're now heading to the end of our blanket. I took off from recording and actually finished up, and we're down to our last 2 rows. And so all you need to do is slip stitch, chain 3, and then 3 double crochet in that chain space. And then slip stitch again into the next. And that's all you need to do. No additional. You now have a complete edge. So though this is small, you can kind of see that how this comes together and how beautiful it can actually be as it grows in size. This could actually be used as a coaster if you'd like. That's probably what I'll use this sample for. But all you need to do now is slip stitch, cut that yarn, and pull through to knot it. And that completes the sample of this blanket. So here we have learned how to make the basic C2C or corner to corner basic stitch. You've learned how to increase, and you've learned how to decrease. And you can see all these little clusters here that form a nice flat surface for a blanket, for a coaster. You can do placemats. It's a little bit endless almost to what you can do. Even a rug, bath mat. Your creativity can start helping you along in your crochet projects. So I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. I will be putting out more, as well as some tips and stitches and ideas that I've learned along the way. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on Instagram. I will put all my links below so that you can connect with me there. And if you want to see more of my tutorials for my projects, feel free to like this video and subscribe, and also hit the notification bell. That way you're notified when new videos are uploaded. And so I thank you guys again, and I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon.